Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today I'm very happy to be talking with Jonathan Parker. He has a very interesting background of filmmaking and real estate all put together. So Jonathan, I just would love to hear kind of your events. I heard a little bit earlier about growing up in San Francisco and moving to Marin, but maybe you could give us a little more detail about how all that happened.
How all that happened. Yes. Well, I grew up in the Forest Hill neighborhood of San Francisco, which is near West Portal, and attended West Portal Elementary and Herbert Hoover Junior High, and then my family moved to Marin, where I went to Redwood High School, and then later went to college at Stanford.
So that was kind of the heyday of the Stanford uh, world. You graduated from Stanford in with what kind of degree?
I graduated with a degree in English in creative writing specialty.
Wow. Wow. And then from there, how did you get to real estate or even filmmaking?
Well, I got to real estate actually much earlier than that because my dad started out as a residential real estate broker, and he ended up acquiring a lot of single family homes in San Francisco. And as a young kid, he would have all the calls come to the house, all the rental calls. He didn't want to miss a call, so he trained me how to answer the phone and actually question the applicants over the phone when I was probably 11 years old. That was probably it was not a parenting technique that I repeated with my own children later, but it happened. So I did. It was just part of the family, and I did, by somewhat by osmosis, learn the business. And then he wanted me to work for him for a year after I graduated college, and I was happy to do it. It was 1980. He had an office on Union Street in San Francisco, and Union Street at that time was a very popular, internationally visited retail area with European fashions, and the store owners were often European, and it was a very lively bar scene, and so it was kind of a fun place to work for a while.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I mean, that was really the probably one of the greatest times for Union Square and growing up in that area and so forth. So that must have been fantastic.
Well,
But
it was Union Street, which is
ah,
not Union Square. Union Street in the Cow Hollow neighborhood.
okay. All right. Yeah, a little different area, but still kind of in the heyday of San Francisco and growing up in the 80s and so forth. That must have been a great time to be there. So you also developed a musical talent as you were growing up.
Yeah, I was a musician from an early age and played a lot of music in high school and college with various bands, everything from wedding bands to jazz, casual jazz, standard combos, and then we started participating in the nightclub scene in the late '70s and early '80s as what we used to call in those days a new wave band, and so we were. We wore skinny ties and we jumped around a lot, and very theatrical show. And so we played a lot of clubs on Broadway and around San Francisco. And yeah, it was a lively live music scene in those days.
Our grandson loves the song "Bird, Bird, Bird." Bird is the word. So that may have come out of that same era, I think, perhaps.
Well,
That
we used a little bit of that song in the Carol Doda documentary.
Oh wow. Okay. That's good. So that leads us up to filmmaking. So you're in real estate, you're in music and you continue on in your real estate world. It sounds like you end up developing your own real estate work.
Yeah. I mean, the film came about because when I was playing in bands at that era, MTV was brand new and everybody was making music videos. So my bandmates and I, made a couple of music videos, and the videos started doing better than the band was doing, and they started getting attention. So I kind of gradually switched to filmmaking, which allowed me to combine my writing with the music in a way that I thought was going to be a better way for me to go.
Well, that's fantastic. And then you kind of led into documentary films.
Well, actually, the this Carol Doda Topless at the Condor, which we released in March, was my first documentary. So prior to that, I was doing indie narrative features.
Yeah. Okay. Sort of your own writing, you wrote the script and then you filmed them and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the background, you're obviously still doing real estate.
Yes.
So did you end up staying in the residential side or did you get into the commercial side?
Well, I was never really in the residential side. I mentioned my dad's office was on Union Street, and he had bought a building there prior to the time when it was it was really a destination. It was more of back in his day. I think a commercial building might have had a hardware store and had apartments on the second floor, and Union Street in the mid 70s and late 70s really started to go through a transformation, and along with popularity of San Francisco as a tourist destination, which may actually have its roots in the topless scene on Broadway. I learned on the Carol Doda film because San Francisco suddenly became a much more popular tourist destination in the 70s, and it may frankly be largely attributable to that nightclub scene and the desire for people coming to San Francisco for conventions and really wanting to see the topless entertainment. But anyway, Union Street transformed into these buildings all became the office spaces became valuable, the retail spaces became valuable. And so I kind of had always been focused more on commercial office and retail type of real estate. And then, I started purchasing buildings, and really I also I partnered with a developer at that time. Tom Monahan is his name, and we've been partners for I think 35 years or so. And he was a residential builder, and I had an interest in developing commercial buildings. So we teamed up, and it's been a good relationship for a very long time now.
Wow. So were you a kind of hold and add type person, or did you end up kind of trading up as you came through the years?
Always purchased properties that I was going to redevelop on some level. It may have been a value add situation and not a huge project. But then, once I got together with my real estate partner, we began developing ground up commercial buildings, many of which are in Santa Fe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So out of the San Francisco downtown market per se. Yeah. More up north.
Well, we have a couple of projects in downtown San Francisco, but the commercial buildings we built from the ground up are mainly in Santa Fe.
Yeah. No, probably a little easier to develop things outside of San Francisco than in the city itself.
Probably, I didn't try to do it in the city. It just Santa Fe was a town that was kind of it's the center of Marin County. It's the only city in central Marin, and it was sort of kind of an overlooked little town when I moved there. And it was kind of a situation where you could almost just walk around the downtown and just see nothing but very underutilized sites. So it lent itself to, doing a number of projects and trying to kind of create a center of gravity there. And I'm still working on my lifelong plan of redeveloping downtown San Rafael.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. This is a big project. It sounds like that you see a vision for San Rafael that kind of nobody else is looking at, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially back then when we started in San Rafael, now it's not exactly a as much of a secret as it was then. But yeah, I think I remember the planning director in San Rafael when we first started working there. He described the city as, you open your garage and you find like some old Ford, from the 40s or something you forgot you had, and it needed a lot of work. So San Rafael had that quality back then. I remember talking to a lender, when we first had our first project there, and he was like, San Rafael, that's where my wife goes to buy a secondhand book. And
Yeah.
they did have some good secondhand bookstores, so I get that.
Yeah, right. But you kind of saw the vision before it actually happened that, hey, this place is going to pop and people are going to know about it pretty soon. And then, of course, the whole Sonoma and wine and all that came along, and San Rafael became fairly popular after that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much of a relationship San Rafael has to the wine country, but it is the home of the Mill Valley Film Festival now because of the Rafael Theater. And the Rafael Theater was redeveloped. It was an old 20s era Art Deco theater, and the California Film Institute redeveloped it into really one of the great art house movie theaters in the country. It's a beautiful venue. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's absolutely worth seeing a film there. It's quite a people kind of take it for granted if you're in Marin, but it's if you travel around the country, you realize how rare and incredible a venue it is for film.
Wow. No, you're making me want to go for sure. No, I have not seen that. I have good friends up that way. So the next time I go, we're going to have to stop by there and see the whole theater. That sounds great. Maybe catch film if it's available.
Yeah, and then more recently, my partner and I built a hotel in downtown San Rafael, just around the corner from the Rafael Theater, the AC San Rafael, and then also nearby, I have a project to move the Marin Museum of Contemporary Art to the same location there. So yeah, that's a lot of fun too.
Wow, that sounds like a great project. So you were hired by the museum itself to kind of rebuild it or move it, or how's that work?
No, I own a building there, and when I bought it, I don't know, maybe less than 10 years ago, but I just felt like it should be an art space of some type. And having been in a lot of film festivals, when you travel to those as a filmmaker, you always have a lot of downtime. So I find myself trying to find a local museum and to go see some art. And so I thought, well, if you come to the Mill Valley Film Festival, there really should be a venue in downtown San Rafael to see art. And so, as it happened, my mom was an artist, and she was getting a solo show at the Marin Museum of Contemporary Art, which is a very small venue that nobody really knows about up at Hamilton Air Force Base in Novato. And I just, in talking to the museum director about my mom's show, I just said, you guys should move the museum to this building I have in downtown San Rafael. And they said, okay. And so
Okay.
that's in process now.
Wow. So how big a building is that?
It's about 12,000 square feet.
Oh, beautiful. And I assume kind of clean and nice and ready for art to go up on the walls.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's been an office building for a while, and I have some other tenants there, and so it's going to be a fairly significant renovation for them. But it's a perfect property, so for that, so yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's great. So the Carol Doda film came out last spring, is that correct?
It did, and it's available at a very reasonable rate of $6 from Amazon Prime and Apple Plus and other streaming services. So it's a really great slice of history of North Beach in San Francisco that younger generations are not aware of. And like I said, I think I don't know if it was before we started the recording, but my niece and nephew who live in San Francisco and grew up there had no idea that Broadway looked anything different than it does now, which is essentially, an 80% vacant, strip of nightclubs. And yeah, it's a fun movie. There's a ton of music in it, and it's a really interesting scene that was going on there in the early '60s, and we kind of cover a period from the early '60s to the mid '80s. Where people may remember that there was a guy killed on the piano that Carol Doda used to dance on that came down from the ceiling.
It fell and killed someone?
No.
Oh, I see. It came down.
No,
I
he,
see.
he was he
I see
was
what you're saying.
discovered he was discovered early in the morning on top of a young woman who was alive. He was dead. He had been supposedly crushed against the ceiling
Oh,
when the piano rose in the middle of lovemaking. But of course,
oh.
in the movie, we tell what actually happened, and it is not that.
Oh. So you got to watch the movie to find out the
You do.
mystery.
You'll learn a lot of things about San Francisco, North Beach in that period if you see the movie.
So how has the pandemic been for you? You got through it. You were fine.
No, I wouldn't say that. The pandemic has not been good, and
Yeah.
I would like to say that we're through it, but we're not through it. And it's probably, I mean, I've been in the business for 35 years. It's definitely the most challenging period, particularly for commercial real estate.
Yeah. So your vacancies are up and your tenants are having trouble paying and all that wonderful stuff.
That would be one way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but what's your crystal ball thinking these days? You think we're going to kind of get through this, or it's going to be a whole different kind of market to deal with?
Well, I think both. I mean, I don't think San Francisco is going to dry up and blow away. It's a pretty desirable place to be, and but I think what makes this different from all other recessions that I've experienced is that there is a reevaluation of the amount of office space that companies need, and the fact that the industries that are prevalent in San Francisco, particularly, are ones that are very easy to work remotely on. And so, it really is it's a cultural shift. It's not just the commercial real estate business that's affected. Film exhibition is affected. All the performing arts exhibitions are
Mm.
affected. People just, I was reading a newspaper story in the Chronicle this morning about how restaurants close, at 8:30 and 9 o'clock at the latest in San Francisco because there's really very little nightlife going on to support them staying open any later. And, so San Francisco is a lot quieter town than certainly it was, when I was young.
Yeah, during the Carol Doda days, that was the kind of heyday of staying up late and going to nightclubs and doing all that fun stuff. But
It definitely was, and that nightclub scene was pretty lively up until I would say the late '80s and
mm,
'90s. So it wasn't totally the pandemic. The internet has had a lot to do with, probably much more to do with people not going out for live entertainment like they used to. But the pandemic uh, really caused a serious dent in that.
yeah, no, that's for sure. And then yeah, it was already kind of sliding anyway, as from the probably the 90s till 2000 till the pandemics, and then it really took a turn from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's kind of sad to see San Francisco not being as lively as it has in the past, but hopefully that'll all come back and we'll see what happens in the next 10 years or so. But
Yeah, I mean, I think San Francisco will be fine in the long run, but things are going to be different. And so all you potential real estate investors out there, keep that in mind.
yeah, well, as several other people have said, it's a great time to buy if you want to buy low. But you may have to wait a while before things come back to anything close to what they were before. But
Yeah.
so do you still hold a fair amount of property on Union Street, or is that pretty much all gone now?
No, we have the same amount of property we've had for I would say 30 years or so,
Yeah.
25 years or so. Union Street is actually doing okay. Union Street has gone through so many periods since I started working there of like what exactly was being typically sold on Union Street. So I think, it used to be when I started there, it was a lot of European clothing stores and now it's pretty much entirely exercise wear and
Oh, wow.
but there's a big market for that, and there's a lot of gyms and various Equinox and Soul Cycle and probably dozens of yoga classes going on Union Street every day. Just judging from what I'm seeing people walking around wearing.
Right.
So at least it's found another kind of market to rally around.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize that. That's actually fantastic. So do you keep a sort of proper property management company in tow, or do you do it all yourself?
Well, we manage our own properties. I have an office on Union Street where we manage San Francisco properties from, and then I have an office in San Rafael where we are handling the San Rafael properties.
Yeah. Do you use software, Yardi or Buildium or any of that kind of thing?
My team does.
You don't have to deal with all that. Yeah. No, that's good. So keep the vacancies lower if you can. I'm sure.
Working on that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. This is actually a very enlightening conversation. I'm going to go watch the Carol Doda movie here and see if I can figure out what happened to the piano person and go from there. That actually sounds fantastic. If people wanted to get a hold of you, Jonathan, where might they find you?
Well, I have a parkerfilmcompany.com website where you can email in if you're interested in communicating.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Well, we will be in touch. I appreciate your time, and hang on here. I'll turn off the recording.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.